Hi there. Today we'll be taking a look at 5 tiny SCPs. You could hold just about all of these in the palm of your hand, but that might not be the best idea. Let's get into it. SCP-881 is made up of a lot of different parts, including people, animals, plants, and, well, 2 whole cities. All of these were part of a large area which was inadvertently shrunk during the containment and destruction of another SCP, resulting in the inhabitants of this area being shrunk down to sizes varying between 15 centimeters and just 2.5 millimeters, an effect which has since been named the Forbes effect. The entirety of this SCP is currently stored in the basement of Site-35, fitted with air and water filters as well as artificial sunlight which allows its inhabitants to grow their own food. While at first this SCP seemed mostly harmless and appeared to be nothing more than a side effect of containing something more dangerous, an incident log was eventually written after individuals interacting with SCP-881 began manifesting ulcers and internal bleeding in various parts of the body, suggesting that matter affected by the Forbes effect was capable of causing cellular damage to living beings. Things only seemed to get more complicated as the Foundation set up recurring communications with the leaders of SCP-881 in the hopes of easing containment, mainly through means such as mass sterilization. It went as follows.
Mr. Hexton, you assured me that the sterilization procedures were carried through 100% of the population.
Yes, well, sorry. It's hard to keep track of what the inchers do in public, let alone in private.
Before I go into length regarding the meaning of 100%, Mr. Hexton, let me point out that we have a record of 2 new instances on the 5 centimeter to 10 centimeter range.
I honestly don't know what happened, Chief. I saw the doctor clip one of those women, and he assured me the other was just the same.
If these couples do not report on how they bypass sterilization, we will consider more intrusive means, Mr. Hexton. Do not think we won't.
Hey, Chief, these are still people. They're all stressed. They want to know what you guys are doing to get us to regular size. The schedule, or whatever you scientists use,
You are not people anymore, and you will know when we deem it proper. Now, if I hear of one more child, we're cutting all entertainment feeds.
With all respect, Chief, I think that'd just make things worse.
As you can maybe tell, tension quickly developed between the Foundation and the citizens of SCP-881, and with good reason. The people, who hoped the Foundation could be their salvation and somehow return them to their normal sizes, were quickly dismissed as test subjects and treated more like an inconvenience to be contained than a problem to be solved. And of course, this only got worse as time went on.
We have not managed to replicate the source of the contamination from SCP-881 yet. The filters show no foreign matter, yet we've lost 2 more D-classes. Until we solve this puzzle, you're in lockdown.
We could help you with that. We have some very clever people down here.
You are not researchers, 881-2166. You are test subjects. I misspeak. You are research material.
But I did just get word of something you scientists couldn't figure out. The unexplained pregnancies.
Yes?
Turns out this surgeon's been training inchmen as helpers, and he's been sewing the women back as a kind of underground resistance. No need for catheters, right? When a guy can just crawl up there and...
You will deliver us this man's designation immediately. Next week, we're initiating radiotherapic sterilization of your entire population.
What? That's dangerous. You can't do that to us.
Be happy we don't throw the whole lot of you into the incinerator. We've been tolerating more than our share of inconveniences and respected you were humans once, but this is enough. It is time for you to act your size.
Very well, Chief. Sir, we'll get ready.
Now, not long after this interview, the researcher in charge of SCP-881, who was the voice in both interviews, met an unfortunate fate during a site lockdown, leaving behind this log.
Fuck. Can't bypass site lockdown. Can anyone hear me? Damn ants hiding under our nose hairs this whole time. Think you're fucking clever now. Couldn't find contaminants in the air if the contaminant can see it coming and hide. I'm bleeding off every pore. Call Leo 5s, nuke this fucking place. What's in my eye?
Well, you know what they say about messing with the little guy. Don't. But of course, rather than learning their lesson and working towards a way to reverse the Forbes effect and let these people go back to their normal lives, the Foundation simply enacted some high-level decontamination procedures and upped the security level surrounding the containment of SCP-881, including its 25,000 newly discovered microscopic citizens. Yeah, I'm definitely with the little people on this one. The Foundation recklessly shrinks, half a county, and then has the gall to forcefully sterilize the survivors and threaten them with incineration? Good on them for fighting back. SCP-234 is a species of tiny extra-dimensional fish, measuring just around 25 millimeters in length on average. These fish have neither eyes nor any other light-sensitive organs, but instead appear to use echolocation for navigation. Also, these fish are non-aquatic, instead floating in the air thanks to a gas-filled organ similar to a swim bladder. Their anomalous property is largely tied to how they appear and disappear. For one, SCP-234 instances only seem to be able to exist within closed, air-filled spaces, spontaneously coming into existence whenever such a space exists or is brought into the red zone, a 300-meter radius in a remote area where these fish have been observed to manifest. The more problematic part is the side effect of their demanifestation, which occurs whenever they are startled, killed, removed from the red zone, or exposed to an open space. When this happens, all matter within the closed space they were in is immediately extra-dimensionally evacuated with sufficient force to cause a catastrophic implosion with potentially devastating effects. This was first observed when a Foundation survey team was assigned to the red zone to investigate a series of disappearances in the area. During their survey, the team inadvertently created a closed space within their tent, resulting in an eventual implosion which caused the disappearance of one team member along with severe injuries in another two. This implosive effect was later observed when a Foundation researcher accidentally introduced a closed space into the red zone in the form of a sealed coffee thermos. The resulting implosion caused a chain effect, startling other SCP-234 instances in the testing area and resulting in severe damage to the laboratory, as well as the death of the researcher and injury to 6 of their co-workers. Reportedly, photographs of the remains of the deceased researcher are kept on file as a warning to new personnel assigned to this SCP. Well, that's pretty grim, but probably effective. Now, as for where all this matter is so violently transported to, research is still ongoing. So far, all attempts to trace evacuated objects have yielded no results, and no matter evacuated by SCP-234 instances has ever been found again. You know, regardless of how dangerous they are, I just can't help but find these little fishies cute. I mean, look at them, just little floaty guys who like enclosed spaces. Mood. SCP-2035 is a collection of miniature desiccated fetal animals enclosed in paper envelopes. Gross. These fetuses show no signs of life and are fragile, necessitating specific levels of heat and humidity in order to grow. 'Cause yeah, they grow. Any physical contact with SCP-2035 causes them to absorb surface moisture, in some cases resulting in significant drying around the point of contact. After exposure to moisture, SCP-2035 instances will begin to grow rapidly for a period of 4 to 6 weeks, quickly showing proper signs of life and are even reaching sexual maturity. When fully grown, these entities tend to be physically non-anomalous, in most cases being indistinguishable from regular members of their species, aside from some psychological abnormalities, often resulting in volatile and unpredictable behavior. Instances of SCP-2035 have all been found in the same area, the envelopes being marked with numbers to different rejection hotlines, gag lines, and fictitious addresses, as well as some of them bearing the phrase 4-2 being of repopulation, put 4 water sick. Whatever that means. Now, as for the animals themselves, they have been almost exclusively mammalian, with a significant portion of them consisting of primates. And while most observed anomalous non-primate behavior has consisted of simply moving in strange patterns, those of the simian variety had some notable abnormalities, including greetings, including handshakes, bows, curtsies, and friendly hugging, individual subjects standing face-to-face, foreheads pressed, motionless for periods of up to 2 to 5 hours, and activities apparently resembling the pumping of gasoline into a vehicle, including use of a credit card for payment. I don't know, man. Monkeys curtsying, pumping gas, and staring at each other for hours is pretty funny, but I just can't get over the phrase desiccated fetal animals. Just bleh. SCP-018 is a bouncy ball, specifically a red 1969 Super Ball by the Whammo Company, about 6 centimeters in diameter. Its anomalous property is its ability to bounce with over 200% efficiency, meaning that it bounces higher and higher with every bounce rather than losing momentum. For example, after being dropped from 1 meter, it will bounce 2 meters high, then 4, then 8, and so on, eventually becoming a deadly super-fast projectile. This anomaly was first discovered when a cleaning crew was hired to clean out a warehouse that contained Whammo merchandise, and when they found it, they simply thought it was a cleverly made child's toy. But of course, that child's toy quickly became a dangerous force reaching speeds over 100 kilometers per hour and damaging property as well as injuring 5 members of the crew, before coming to a rest several days later in a nearby lake. Now, while this SCP generally seems rather mundane compared to most of the others we've seen, the head researcher in charge of it was somehow convinced it had immense potential, going so far as to write a letter to the O5 Council.
I hope everything is well. The reason I write to you is because I believe I have found a more effective method for retrieving new or escaped SCP subjects. Yes, I realize we haven't had any progress in reverse engineering whatever allows this thing to defy the laws of thermodynamics, but we have come up with a very effective method for integrating one of these new SCP-A5 armor suits with this. Just hear me out. We implant it into the bottom of a boot, rig up a little bit of a mechanical device, and ta-da, the suit is now capable of jumping well over a building. Also, if the wearer has their foot against something they want dead, well, let's just say it delivers a hell of a kick. All I need is permission to modify one of the pre-existing SCP-A5 suits, and you'll be able to capture practically anything, plus any other escaped SCP subjects. Trust me, when have I let you down in the past?
And while this may have had some promise, the O5's response shows just how short-sighted this implementation ended up being.
Doctor, upon assignment, an agent was issued your modified SCP-A5 armor in retrieving an SCP, and the results are mixed. The agent was able to collar the SCP, chase it through the Amazon, and restrain it by dismemberment. However, due to a malfunction of your little mechanical device, he was launched almost a mile into the air and suffered 2 broken legs, 7 broken ribs, a missing arm, and a skull fracture upon hitting the water of a nearby lake on the way back down. You will fix that before I authorize your armor for common use.
Well, I guess that's what happens when an overambitious researcher gets assigned to a bouncy ball, while his colleagues are working with giant unkillable monsters and sentient supercomputers. But hey, I'll give him points for trying. SCP-2300 is the collective designation for a series of 98 tiny little guys, each composed of a different chemical element from the periodic table, with the atomic number of their respective element marked on the top of their heads. These entities are solid at all times, regardless of the atmospheric pressure and temperature, but otherwise exhibit all the normal properties of their respective elements. However, if they are physically damaged, separated parts of them will be subject to normal melting, freezing, and boiling points. But why would you hurt these guys? I mean, look at them. They're also able to consume any and all matter, allowing them to regenerate any sustained damage and regurgitate any non-matching material for consumption by their brethren. Not sure if that's more gross or cute, but As you've surely ascertained by now, SCP-2300 instances are sapient, displaying varying degrees of intelligence, those composed of elements with a lower density typically displaying greater intelligence. While incapable of speech, they have been observed to understand verbal and written English, and do appear to communicate with each other and have a proper social structure. They've often been observed staying grouped by elemental period, and even treating certain elements as a sort of nobility, with SCP-2302, Helium, being the ruler of the first 6 periods, but often deferring to SCP-2301, Hydrogen, as it appears to be the most intelligent, with an IQ of 132 according to the Foundation. SCP-2300 instances have sometimes been observed damaging themselves in order to create tools from their bodies to carry out certain tasks, sometimes even turning their whole bodies into tools for others to use, later necessitating force feeding in order to instigate regeneration. In cases where regeneration is not possible, a replacement entity will instead be created from the leftover material, possessing no knowledge of its former self. In their free time, most of SCP-2300 activity is dedicated to the creation of art. Despite their largely segregated social groups, all of the instances have been observed coming together to hold gatherings in the form of a gallery. Also, there seems to be no barrier for entry to these galleries, with even newly created instances being allowed to showcase otherwise unsatisfactory art to their more experienced peers. I mean, how can you not love these guys? Sure, 1 or 2 of them are probably radioactive or would kill you on contact or something, but man, I feel like I could just watch these guys do their thing and it would be amazing. Anyways, that's all the time we have for this week. Take this as a reminder to appreciate the little things in life. And, as always, ask yourself, is ignorance safer than truth?